So I'd like to talk to you about a case that I worked on probably around 4 years ago, maybe 3.5. Um, a young lady contacted me that was quite distressed, and we agreed for her to come in, and so we could talk in person. So she arrived, and I remember looking at her and thinking that she was a really fascinating and really interesting looking person, but she had these dark glasses on, and she had a beret and a scarf and a mac, and you could barely see her, and in fact she actually looked like she was in disguise. And interestingly enough, I was to find out that it was a kind of disguise, and that she could only leave the house after a certain time in the day. And when she did, she dressed up because she was frightened and terrified that she would be seen, and possibly this was connected to a lot of the earlier traumas in her life that I'm now going to briefly mention. Obviously, for sake of confidentiality, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I've also been given the permission to discuss this as well. Now, the young lady actually lived across the pond, so to speak, and was born into, she was a soul born into a very difficult situation. So, probably a very old soul, very kind of strong and powerful soul. And that's normally what happens. They get born into what we may deem as darkness, and that's normally to protect them, which sounds like a bit of a paradox. Anyway, she was born into this family, and she had two parents who were functional or barely functional drug addicts, and it was a very, very, very difficult um, consultation to go through. She had been tortured. We discussed that she'd been, kicked in the stomach and beaten, unconscious. There was also discussions of her teddies being nailed to the wall in her bedroom, and it really was, really was a harrowing kind of childhood to go through, and there were other very, very radical kind of situations that were going on, and things that were sexual, and it really is a wonder that she survived, and thank God that she did. And so when she contacted me, she was barely functional and feeling suicidal. Um, so on observation, I sensed that something wasn't quite right with her energy, obviously, but there was something slightly more profound. And when we carried out some investigations, it turned out that she was actually harbouring what is known as spirit attachments. And sometimes there are energies within somebody that don't belong to them, but sometimes these energies can actually be souls of people that never crossed over, so never went into the light. And normally, what happened in this case, there was 6 actual individuals living within her, and how they would have been affecting her was they would have been affecting her emotions, they would have been affecting her mind, they would have been possibly creating fear, and many other things as well, even sickness, a lot of symptoms within the body, like real denseness in the stomach and brain fog, headaches, and sometimes if these are left, these situations can be nearly fatal as well. I've not come across such a case, but I am aware that there are cases like that, but that's normally with more kind of darker sort of demonic energies that are left for decades. And so moving back to the case, we went through using hypnosis and guided spoken word and energy work. We managed to speak to each of these spirit attachments as well. And I actually got permission at the time to film this event as well, so I will be placing a small video with the spirit attachment work that's being done, and it is a little disturbing and very, very powerful, and yeah, it's really, really, really an eye-opener. So we managed to clear these energies, and we got to speak to each individual energy and who they were. There was a nun, there was a professor, and each character, actually, we could get exact time when they came in, what was going on, what kind of trauma was happening at the time that they entered her body. And then we also found out what happened to these souls as well. Some of them, one of them died through alcoholism. A lot of them don't even have the awareness that they're actually living in somebody else's body, but they have to be cleared. All of these energies need to be cleared before we can then step into a inner child or a regression therapy session. So any obtrusive energies or energies within somebody need to be really cleared first of all. This is energies of like interdimensional energies or spirit attachments or elementals. There are varied energies as well which can live within the person's energy field or on the outskirts of the individual's energy field. So once they're cleared, we can then proceed, and I'd like to talk to you in further detail about how that actually went.